Jeff, the host of the Gridiron.
Whoa, Bernie, welcome to the Gridiron, baby. If you give this video a thumbs up or maybe share this video, that would be absolutely freaking phenomenal. If you subscribe to my channel, thank you. If not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon. That way next time I go live or if I put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. It's totally free of charge. But if you are subscribed to my channel, thank you. If you want to help support my channel out, description box below, very top link, take you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. Each one has their own little perks to them. So once again, if you want to help support my channel out, it would mean so much to me. And I thank you in advance once again. Thank you. And then finally, just underneath that, there's another link in that description box. Takes you to my Facebook group. It's called the New York Giants, The Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. We have over 10,700 members in the group, and it is doing simply marvelous, might I add. Basically, if I'm alive and breathing, and if I got internet access, I am putting stuff in this group darn near 365. It's called the New York Giants, The Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. Please join it. You will not be dissatisfied. I promise. Well, one thing we can always be dissatisfied on is another, it's just like Groundhog's Day, right? Just another week, another fourth quarter collapse, another loss, another game we could have, should have won. But on the bright side, it was just a matter of time whether they want to let them, play out the rest of the season, and then can't 42 seconds after the final game's over with, or whether what game they were going to get him back out of here. It was just a matter of time, right? You always feel bad, because he's calling the plays, but he's not on the field. It is what it is, but you don't fire the players, you fire the coaches. Now you can sit the players, like maybe a Banks or somebody like that if they're not performing up to snuff, what we think they could be. You can sit them, but for the most part, you're not going to fire the players, especially if they're under contract and they got guaranteed money and all this stuff and everything. So it is what it is. But so you fire the coaches. So Mr. Bowen is going, thank goodness, because it thing was that it wasn't like, well, we should be a top 2 defense, in the league. It's that or nothing, but you certainly, my goodness, close to the top 10, top 15 at least. With the amount of talent that we got and the amount of money we spent on this defense and everything, it's not performing anywhere near what it should be. You out there in the league and you look at, there's other defenses that are performing better that have less than what the Giants have. And it's just, going to be very, very interesting. Once again, as is past for 952 years in a row. It'll be a very interesting offseason for the New York Football Giants. Who the coach is, who the coach is going to be, offensive-minded, defensive-minded. Obviously you have to, whoever the new coach is, taking care of and developing Jackson Dart is paramount over anything. You got your quarterback, right? You got to keep him, got to keep him ascending, right? He's your quarterback, hopefully, unless these concussions or he gets an injury or something else happens. But he should be your quarterback for quite a while. Let's hope. Okay. That's paramount, but it's going to be very interesting to see, obviously, in the offseason, which direction the Giants go as far as getting a new coach. If they go defensive, I'm just throwing out, they get Robert Saleh in here. I don't know if, he'd even want to come back here, but, to New York, New Jersey area. But somebody defensive minded like that, maybe he could, right? But then you're going to need to get somebody really good in here to keep developing Jackson Dart. Now, who knows how they would go, right? As far as with something like that. Let's hope whoever comes in here keeps Carmen Basillo, because for the I mean, once again, I'm not saying we're a top 5, top 10, maybe offensive line unit, but the offensive line not doing too bad this year. I mean, that's one of the things. But obviously, of course, having the guys being in there, it took a little while for Andrew Thomas, okay, to get in. But once he's been in, the unit's been really solid. Even when Illuminor had to go out, Marcus Bowen in there, looked pretty good. GVR's, the guy's, 99 years old, not doing too bad. I don't know if you're going to bring him back for another year. Who knows, right? But the offensive line unit's been looking pretty good. And once again, be kind of interesting because just saying, if Kafka is not the coach and you go, defensive, would Kafka want to come back? Would whoever, because he was scoring some points. We're going to talk about this in a little bit. We had over 511 yards of offense. That's not too bad on the road with a backup quarterback. A number 1 wide receiver is Nomas. A number 1 running back is Nomas. That's not too bad. And actually, if you want to look at it, right? I mean, in the beginning of the season, James Winston is a 3rd-string quarterback. Not too bad. Not many other teams can go maybe into Detroit and whoever that is, and you take their best wide receiver, nope, throw him in the trash. Can't have him. Take their number 1 running back, take him, throw him in the trash. Nope, can't have him either. Take their 3rd-string quarterback and put him in there and let him score 27 points and put up 511 yards of offense. Not many teams are going to be able to do that. Giants did that. So it's going to be interesting. Not sure, as I said. I mean, if another coach comes in here, would they want to keep Kafka here? Would Kafka want to be here? But I said, whoever they bring in, the development of Jackson Dart is huge, huge, because hopefully we finally have our quarterback of the future, and he's got to keep ascending, right? But it was just a matter of time. Thank God they got rid of him. Kafka seems to have a lot of Charlie Bullen. Have a lot of confidence in him, although he's never been a defensive coordinator. He's never called defensive plays. He's the what do you want to call it? The outside linebacker / edge rusher coach. We're getting some decent production out of him, but then again, you would kind of hope so, considering we have Kayvon Thibodeau, Abdul Carter, and Brian Burns. You would figure, but Kafka named him the interim, I guess, whatever you want to call it, defensive coordinator. So now, I mean, this is great for Kafka, and it's great for Bowen too, because they're putting play calling now. Actually now with Kafka, and Kafka is now a head coach. He's got that on his resume. Bowen has now been named, the interim defensive coordinator, so he's going to be calling the plays. He's going to be the defensive coordinator, so he's got this on his resume. So it's a huge opportunity for these guys, whether it be with the Giants or someplace else. Who knows? Because, I mean, that's one thing that does wind up happening quite a bit is when a new coach comes in, a lot of times he wants to bring his own players in. Well, yeah, his own players, too. But his own coaches in, too. So very, very interesting. So, of course, Shane Bowen has been relieved of his duties. An outside linebacker coach, edge rusher coach, whatever you want to call him, Charlie Bullen, will take over in this role of defensive coordinator for the Giants. Now, I said Bullen has been around for a while. He was with Iowa from 2008 to 2011. He was a student assistant quarterback coach, a student assistant, just not the quarterback coach, but student assistant. Then he was a graduate assistant defensive backs coach. So he's been on offense and defense. So then finally in 2012, I do believe Shane was there. It was in Miami. He was a defensive assistant. Then he was the assistant defensive line coach for the Dolphins in 2013 to 2015. He was the assistant linebacker coach from 2016 to 2018. Then with the Cardinals, he was the linebacker coach. He was assistant linebacker coach once again. Then finally he got promoted. He was the outside linebacker coach for the Cardinals from 2020 to 2022. And then he went to college. He went to Illinois. He was the outside linebacker and the pass rush coordinator for Illinois in 2023. In the past 2 seasons, he's been the outside linebacker coach for the Giants. And, for the most part, of course, you would expect that, given the talent that we've had, given the amount of money, right, and the draft capital we've spent. I mean, when you have 3 first-round picks, as edge rushers. Now, Burns, he was like number 16. He was either, I think, the one before Dexter. So, I mean, you got pick number 3 in the draft, pick number 5 in the draft, number 16 in the draft as your edge rushers. That's not too bad. You expect some production. And we're certainly getting some production, without question. So, but Kafka, he's saying all the right things about him, but he seems to think he'll do a good job. Kafka, obviously, after Tim Kelly became the coordinator when Kafka was named coach, but then with Bowen's departure, left another significant change to coaching staff. So Brian Daboll was dismissed 2 weeks ago. Kafka taken over the interim coach, and then Bowen, in the second season with the coordinator, has been let go, and we got Bullen stepping in for him. So we got a lot of things shuffling around, but. For the most part, it's guys have been leaving, but we still got guys on the staff who are taking over the role. So we don't have other guys, outside guys coming in here for the time being. That's possibly going to change, possibly after the season's over with. Regardless, because just say if Bowen winds up becoming the defensive coordinator next season, right, we're going to need an outside linebacker coach. We might need somebody to take Tim Kelly's spot, right? But even if Kafka does wind up being the head coach, they still need to do a coaching search, right? It's just not like, Kafka's the man. We don't have to. We're like with the Rooney Rule and all that. You still have to go out and interview. So Kafka, in his news conference today, he said, I have a lot of faith in Charlie, and obviously these decisions aren't easy, and Shane's a good person, Kafka said Monday morning. He's a good man. He's a good coach. Just the results just weren't where we wanted them to be. And so Charlie's going to step up for us and rally the group. Defensive staff will rally around Charlie and put together a great plan. I got a lot of confidence in the room and a lot of confidence in our staff to do that. Bowen, who has 18 years of coaching experience with 12 in the NFL, is in the second season as the outside linebacker coach. Prior to the Giants, Bowen served as the outside linebacker coach and pass rush coordinator at Illinois in 2023. Bowen was the Cardinals' outside linebacker coach from 2020 to 2022 after originally joining their staff as an assistant linebacker coach in 2019. Then he spent 7 years with the Dolphins. And his first 4 years were in college when he was the student assistant, the graduate assistant for Iowa. Before attending Iowa, Bowen played quarterback at Harper College and St. Norbert, which is in a college which is in Wisconsin. He earned a bachelor's degree from Iowa in finance in 2008 and a master's degree in sports management in 2011. So, Bowen, he played quarterback in college. I mean, not for Ohio State or Georgia or Alabama, not like that, but he played quarterback. And here he is, the defensive coordinator now. So, he knows both sides of the ball. We're going to give Charlie the reins to go and make the corrections that he sees fit for the defense, whether it's personnel, whether it's scheme, whether it's communication calls, Kafka said. And so he's going to have to work hand in hand with the whole defensive unit to make sure that it's his vision and how he sees it. And obviously, I'll have my fingerprint on there as well and be there and try to be an asset for the group as well. Yeah. So now one of the things was, of course, Kafka was asked after our 715th consecutive fourth quarter collapse of the season, and of course he's saying all the right things at the right time and all that. They were asking him, do you still have confidence in Shane Bowen? And he said, oh yeah, absolutely. Probably had his fingers crossed or something as he was lying. Hopefully his nose wasn't growing. Oh yeah, absolutely. I got confidence. So then, less than 18 hours later, Bowen was gone. So of course they asked him that at the press conference. How come you said 18 hours ago Bowen was okay, he was great. 18 hours later he's gone. What's going on with that? So once again, Kafka had to say all the right things here. He said, after having slept on the state of the team following its sixth straight loss, Giants interim head coach Mike Kafka, who not even 24 hours ago said he had faith in embattled defensive coordinator Shane Bullen, decided that a change had to be made after witnessing the defense fail to protect a 10-point lead late in the game for the fifth time this season. I just had an opportunity to watch the tape, look back at a few weeks, watch a lot of the defense, watch a lot of what was kind of going on. The communication just felt like it was the right time to do it, Kafka told reporters on Monday morning after confirming the move had been made. When I got the job, I didn't want to make a lot of rash decisions and jump to anything really quickly. I wanted some time to sit back, evaluate it, look it over, and figure out what the best things were to do. I thought that today was the right time. The right time is clearly too late for the Giants, who were officially eliminated from postseason consideration and who are on a pace to finish with fewer wins than last year's franchise worst 3-game campaign, barring a turnaround. Well, it wasn't a franchise worst in 1966. They were 1-12-1. So, and in 1973 and 1974, they had back-to-back 2-win seasons. So, I don't know. I don't know what a franchise worst 3 wins is, because there was clearly a couple seasons prior where they had less wins than 3. But Kafka's choice to serve as interim defensive coordinator is outside linebacker coach Charlie Bullen, 18-year coaching veteran. And it is a bit odd because they were talking about a curious pick over defensive back coach Marquand Manuel and defensive line coach Andre Patterson, both of whom have had NFL defensive coordinator experience. He said, I have a lot of faith in Charlie and the pedigree that he brings coming into this defense, Kafka said. I think he's a smart coach. I think he's detailed. He's aggressive, and his room has had a lot of production. And I think he's ready for the task. Well, we're going to find out. Kafka said he's decided after meeting with General Manager Joe Schoen to discuss his thought process, said that the defensive game planning will continue to be a collaborative effort, perhaps even more so than in the past. Though at the end of the day, it will be Bowen making the calls on the sideline. I think one of the strengths our defensive staff has a lot of really smart coaches in that room, and they can put together a great plan for him and support him, Kafka said, adding that he would also be part of the process. So it's all hands on deck. Everyone's going to be part of it. The players are included in this as well. And so we all got to take ownership in our individual job and then our collective jobs as a unit. So now it can be interesting because Kafka pointed to the extra time the Giants had before their next game a week from Monday. So they got, a full week. They let him go, ship Bowen go. And now they have basically a full week. So they got a Monday game against the Patriots. Wow, what a great Monday night game. like or maybe that I don't know, the Patriots, the number one seed, maybe in the AFC against like the worst team in football. Wow, a great Monday night game. Could wind up being good. Could, the Patriots don't score or they don't gain a lot of yards, a ton of yards on offense. Now, also, I think Drake May. I don't think he's thrown for 300 yards in a game this season. So, if the defense rallies, someone's also going to depend upon also Sexy Dexy, because I don't know if it's his elbow or what it is, but it's not getting any better. And basically, pretty much the rest of the season, he's going to be probably pretty much limited. The amount of snaps that he has and whatever's going on with him ain't getting fixed anytime soon. It ain't going to be fixed by the end of the season. It's not happening. Whatever this is just going to be week to week. He's just going to have to probably gut stuff out. Now, what he said, oh no, I feel great. No, he doesn't. There's something every week. He's going to, as I said, with his elbow, but he wasn't even in there on the first snap of overtime when Jahmyr Gibbs, 69 yards for the touchdown. So he wasn't even on the field then. So his snaps, he only played about like 55% of the snaps, I think it was, on defense. So, I mean, pretty much the rest of the season. I mean, the bye week will be very helpful. Don't get me wrong, because after the Patriots, and we got the bye week. So, I mean, if Sexy doesn't do anything, but I'm sure it's going to be something that's going to, hinder him the rest of the season. Hopefully, if he has a whole off season, hopefully maybe next year he can come back. Because Kafka was kind of saying also that Sexy was on the sideline and just like wincing in pain and just like almost tearing up and stuff like that. And, it is what it is. But thankfully, we got rid of, Mr. Bowen. It was a matter of time. It just said whether it was going to be after the final gun of the final game of this season, basically as Bowen's walking to the locker room, they give him his pink slip. By the way, you're gone. You suck, right? Or whether it was going to be after one of these games or not. But, the season's over with once again. Yeah. Those Giants fans, 2-10. If we didn't have, 5 fourth quarter collapses, right? 2-10, we could be 7-5. Could you imagine that if we were 7-5? What the heck are the Eagles? The Eagles got 3 losses now. The Eagles are not that good. Their offense stinks. Their defense is good, right? But their offense is not very good. So we'd be 2 games out of first place, 7-5. The Eagles, because we're 7-5. The Eagles, I guess, are 8-3. I think it is, because they had their bye. We haven't. So we'd be a game and a half out. We'd be a game and a half out of first place. Yeah, and I'm not saying we're going to beat the Patriots, but the thing is with the Giants have the final 5 games. They got the Patriots, we got the Raiders, we have the Commanders, the Vikings, and the Cowboys. So it's not a horrible gauntlet of games, but regardless, the Giants would, even if we're not talking division title or nothing like that, the Giants would at least be in the playoff hunt. Not the 5th fourth quarter collapse of the season. Then the thing is that, also kind of, gets you like with yesterday too, is that, we had 20 points at halftime. We scored 7 points. Should have been, I'm going to go over this in just a little bit. Should have been 10 points. If I was the coach, of course, I'm not the coach. Never will be the coach. But if I was the coach, Malik Neighbors was the coach. I'll go over that in a bit once again. And if Donald Trump was the coach, we'd have 10 points in the second half. And possibly we would have our 3rd win of the season. But it is what it is. But, I mean, these just all right, where are we at here? I got All right, let me show you here. I just freaking collapses. It's just absolutely unbelievable. Share my screen. All right, here we go. Where are we at here? All right, here we go. All right, let's go with this here. All right, so that's we got good old ESPN here, right? So the 5th. Now, of course, this is the 3rd one in a row. Right? And you got the Bronco game, and then you got the Cowboy game. And the thing is with the Cowboy game, I mean, this is what just this. I mean, it's just I can't even stand this. I just if we go back, all right, overtime. There we go. All right, we go to Cowboys here. All right. So they had 19, I guess with 19 seconds, they had the ball. I guess that's what it was. The Giants kicked off with 25 seconds left to go in the game. 25 seconds to go. Now, granted, the guy kicked a 352-yard field goal. I get it. And once again, I mean, it was almost another 60-yard field goal that tied the game for the Lions. I mean, it really is amazing. Absolutely amazing, especially when you look at the field goal that the Lions kicker, right? When you look at the uprights, the ball, it was like going there and then it went out like about 35 yards outside of the goalpost and somehow it wandered its way back over and just got over the cross. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. But, right, so we kicked off to the Cowboys. Congratulations to them. Can't stand the Cowboys, but I hate the Eagles even more. So, and make it even worse that the Eagles were up 21-0. The Cowboys came back and wound up winning that game. I'm a little, a little happy for the Cowboys. Congratulations, because my son's a Cowboy fan. I don't know how that happened, but he's a Cowboy fan. So, but plus they beat the Eagles, and I said I can't stand the Eagles. Anyway, so we kicked off to the Cowboys, right? 25 seconds ago, we kicked it 62 yards to the 3. Tolbert ran it back for 30 yards. Once again, that's a choke right there. Right, you shouldn't be running the ball back 30 yards. You should be running it back 20 yards. So the special teams choked on this one right here. So the ball should be at the 23, not the 33. So they should have an additional 10 yards to go, right, for a field goal. But so after he got tackled, okay, they had 19 seconds. They had the ball at the 33 and 19 seconds to go. First pass was an incompletion. They had 14 seconds. They're at the 33-yard line. And they have 14 seconds. Right. Of course, an 18-yard pass. Brings it out pretty much to midfield. Now, even at midfield, there was, if you kind of figure maybe he might be a little too far for him. But then they got a 3-yard run, which obviously brought it to the 46. Yeah. And then he kicks a 64-yard field goal, which would have been good from a little farther out, though, too. But what I'm saying is that if this was a 74-yard field goal, how crazy is that, dude? How crazy is that? We're talking almost a 70-yard. I'm saying if the special teams stepped up and made a 20-yard return instead of a 30-yard return, maybe they don't get that field goal. But once again, this right here, it's just, they had 19 seconds. They had the ball with 19 seconds, and they got in field goal range. Unbelievable. And then, of course, then we talk about, the Bronco game. I mean, this one, I'm not going to go play by play, but I mean, it just goes to show you. Right, fourth quarter. Yeah, so we're winning 19-0 going into the fourth quarter, and then they scored. Their drive right here scored a touchdown. Excuse me. Now, of course, they had the ball toward the end of the third quarter into the fourth quarter. But at the start of the fourth quarter, the Giants were winning 19-0. And then we were up 26-8. And then we were up by 18 points. We're up by 19 points and up by 18 points. I mean, and this is 26-8. Then we kicked off. All right. So with 10 minutes to go in the game, 10 minutes and 9 seconds to go in the game, basically 10 minutes to go in the game, we're up by 18 points. And we lose. I mean, I know some of it also is obviously, the one of the huge problems was, the mile high, the air or the lack thereof, the mile high. The Giants played like 30. They played about like 30 snaps, 25 to 30 snaps in the fourth quarter alone in Denver. I mean, they just got gassed. But I can't even talk about it. The first 45 minutes, we didn't give up a point. And that was always one of the biggest problems here with between Daboll, Bowen, whatever. When stuff started going wrong, when SHI, started hitting the fan, they had no answers. No answers. When stuff started going wrong, as far as with Daboll, he had no answers. When Bowen, were giving up 33 points in a quarter to the Broncos, he had no answers. He had good coaches can figure ways to stem the tide. Right? Bowen had no idea what to do. Absolutely no idea what to do. I mean, all right. So we got. Then, of course, so you got those two huge class. Then you got these last three. Right. Yeah, you figure with the 49er game, they were certainly the better team. They deserved the win, and they won. Same thing with the Eagles. Now, of course, you had all those calls that went against the Giants, but the Eagles were certainly the better team that day. But with the Bears, play-by-play. It's the same thing here. Now you're going into the fourth quarter. Giants are up 20-10. And then you figure they went 9. They had the ball with 6 minutes to go. And they're down 20-10 with 6 minutes to go. And the ball is on their 9-yard line. They have to go 91 yards for a touchdown. They scored a touchdown. And they had to go 91 yards. That's what you're trying to do. That field position. We're up 20-10. Get them down deep. Get them at their own 9-yard line. They got to go 91 yards. Yes. Advantage, Giants. Nope. Defense on the ball. 91 yards down the field in 9 plays. Of course, then the Giants punted. And then once again, with, let's say, 1:06 to go. Is that what it was? 1:06 to go. No, I'm sorry. No. 2 minutes. 2 minutes and 53 seconds. And then they got a 7-yard run. And they were at their own 47-yard, then a 2:14. So, but even 2 minutes, a little over 2 minutes to go. We give up another touchdown. All right. And then, of course, with the Packers. Play-by-play. Right. Giants get a touchdown, 15 plays, 85-yard drive, take 8 minutes off the clock, go up 20-19. They get the ball with 7 minutes, but once again, we're up. It was kind of a back and forth. The Giants were up 7, then it was 7-6, then it was 13-7, then it was 13-13, right? Then it was 19-13, 20-19. It was a back and forth kind of game. It wasn't like the Giants were up by multiple scores or anything like that, right? But they were up. Once again, they were winning in the fourth quarter, up 20-19. Packers get the ball, 7 minutes to go. 7 plays, 65 yards. They go down the field and score a touchdown. They're up 27-20. Once again, couldn't hold a lead. Now, of course, this one here, with the interception. With 40 seconds to go in the game. Now, Jameson threw the ball where high it was supposed to be. Hyatt didn't kind of gave up on the route. Is what it is. But once again, the point is that the Giants had a lead in the fourth quarter. They let it get away. Of course, and then you go back to the game here with the Lions. I mean, just. And I said the thing that really, kind of gets you, right, is that the Giants, obviously, had the lead, 500 yards of offense. They only scored 7 points in the second half. Look at this, right here. Third quarter, they scored nothing. Then they scored a touchdown. Then, of course, their one time that they had the ball in overtime. Of course, that was the one sack that the Lions got was on the final play of the game. But I mean, the same thing here, right? I mean, we're gonna talk about this. The Giants get down, long drive, 2 minutes and 59 seconds to go. Now, of course, the Lions, right? We didn't get it, so the Lions had the ball though. So once again, we're going to talk about that in just a minute or two. But the Lions had the ball at their 6-yard line. The Giants were up 27-24. Time for the Giants defense once again to step up, make a stop, possibly win the football game. Once again, couldn't do it. All these times, and then then of course, then the kicker too is that obviously, Gibbs off right tackle for 69 yards and a touchdown. Of course, now he wasn't even touched. Basically, I mean, he just not even touched. But these just absolutely unbelievable. There's also, I think last week, if I'm not mistaken, I saw something. I think the Giants tied a record. I think it was. Now I'm not sure if it's just the Super Bowl year. I don't remember, or if it's going back a long time or not. But they tied, I think, records. That was the 5th straight game the Giants scored 20 or more points and they lost. This would be the 6th straight game that the Giants scored 20 or more points and they lost. So I think this is a new record because we scored 27 points against the Lions and lost. Then we scored 20 points against the Packers and we lost. Then we scored 20 points against the Bears and we lost. Then we scored 24 points against the 49ers and we lost. Then we scored 20 points against the Eagles and we lost. Then we scored 32 points against the Broncos and we lost. 6 straight games. We scored 20 or more points and we lost every one of them. I mean, if you look, the defense has given up the past 6 games. 33, 38, 34, 24, 27, 34. I mean, the defense averaging giving up over that 6. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know, about 31, 32 points a game. Over the past 6 games, the Giants are averaging giving up 32 points a game, 31, 32 points a game. Wow, over the past 6 games. Whew. I mean, once again, another reason why, Bowen's gone. I mean, absolutely just freaking rips your heart out. So, of course, the Giants lose another one, fall to the Lions in overtime. Just, it's just good old Groundhog's Day. Same thing. It's almost like, what's going to happen next week? How the Giants going to blow the game next week? Right? Or either one or two things going to happen. Either the Giants are playing a very good very well coached team. Right, Mike Vrabel, very well coached team, and a very good team. So we're either going to get outclassed and lose by whatever a couple scores, or it seems like we're going to keep it close and maybe wind up having a lead going into the fourth quarter and somehow losing that one. Right. Oh my God. Where are we at here? Yeah. Now, obviously, it certainly was not all bad yesterday. There was a lot of really good things. Good old Mr. Jameson Winston. I'm glad we got him. He's once again proven that he can play. I mean, when Gunner hit him for that pass and he broke that, Jameson broke that tackle and got into the end zone, and then he finger rolled it in the end. I mean, I hope they sign him for a couple years. I hope they maybe extend him for another year or so, whatever, because he's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. But I mean, it's just a shame. Yeah, we wound up. I think what was it? Was it 511? Total yards 517. I'm sorry, but of course the Lions had 494 yards. We had 25 first downs. Once again, this is a backup quarterback. Our number one running back isn't in there. Our number one wide receiver is not in there. We had 517 yards of offense. 395 yards passing. Now, the one thing I did like, now it wasn't very pretty all the time with the running game, but they were running, and we ran the ball 39 times though, which is once again we only had 122 yards on 39 carries, so we only averaged 3.1 yards a carry, but we were able to, because a lot of it was we were up too. We were able to dictate what we wanted to do, and being able to keep running the ball was fantastic. One of the problems is that the Lions averaged 11.9 yards per carry. They averaged almost 12 yards a carry. 12 yards a carry. They ran the ball 20 times for 237 yards. Just unbelievable. Our problems in the red zone, once again, we were 1 for 3. Let's see. 7 penalties, 59 yards. We only had the 1 turnover. We had the ball for 37 minutes. Yeah, I mean, without question, there certainly was some very good stuff. Very good stuff that went on. Wandale Robinson. Of course, he's in a contract here, and he's going to get paid. In the absence of Malik Neighbors, he stepped into the leading role and is on pace for more than 1,100 yards. It feels like a lifetime ago that Robinson was being lambasted for his lack of size and yards per reception, but he's now averaging a career-high 12 yards per catch and has morphed into one of the NFL's most productive receivers, number 9 to be exact. Now, of course, last year he had all of those receptions. He had no yards. He wasn't even, I don't even think he even averaged 7 yards a catch. Now he's averaging 12 yards a catch. Now, let's not forget, right? We got Kafka calling the plays. The offense looks different, and the production is there. Last year we were averaging about 15 or 16 points per game. Now we're up to like about 22 points. We've jumped up almost a touchdown a game without our number one running back, without our number one wide receiver, and without our number one quarterback. And we're averaging 6 more points per game. That's very impressive. Oh, yeah. Good old Eric Gray. I have no idea why. Unless it's because he's a draft pick, and they're like, we need to get some production out of this draft pick. Can't make it look too bad, right? We got to get some production out of this draft pick. Bill Eric Gray returned to the field on Sunday and brought his kick return issues back with him. Gray muffed the kickoff and left the Giants' offense pinned deep in enemy territory. Something has become a theme of Gray's pre-injury. While the Giants continue to use him as a return man, when he's proven time and time again that he's incapable of it, is baffling. Special teams coordinator Michael Goebel must answer for that later this week. Yep. Good old Jameson Winston. The interception stung, but that's part of who Winston is. Something NFL world got in spades on Sunday. The veteran quarterback started in place of Jackson Dart, completed 18 of 36 passes, 366 yards, 2 touchdowns, and one interception. He also rushed for 13 yards and a career first, holding a 33-yard reception off the arm of Gunnar Olszewski in what he stiff-armed Lions defender to the ground and rumbled into the end zone. Jamie Gillen. What in the world has happened to the punter Jamie Gillen? Over the past month, it feels like he's fallen off a cliff. After struggling on kickoffs, he has been replaced by kicker Young-Ho Koo and relegated back to punt-only duty. The issue, he's struggling in that area, too. Shanks have become all too common. And that theme continued again on Sunday with 2 bad punts, one slightly aided by a nice roll. All right, what we got here? Some winners and losers here. Kudos to Mike Kafka, who can argue some more about going for it on 4th down. We're going to talk about that in just a second. Kafka has watched the Giants' defensive play all year. He knew full well there was zero chance the defense was holding a 3-point lead. Well, they might have held on to a 6-point lead, though. Anyway, Wan'Dale Robinson had 9 catches for 156 yards. Good old Winston. Pass blocking. Winston threw the ball 36 times. Per Next Gen Stats, 21 of those were 10 yards or more down the field. The Giants were going vertical, yet Winston had plenty of time to throw. The only Detroit sack of the game came on the final play, which ended the game. In desperation, 4th and 5. He was hit only 7 times. The line did a fantastic job blocking. To be honest, as the game wore on, it did an increasingly good job creating space for Tyrone Tracy and Devin Singletary to run as well. It was the same kind of thing as that, early on, the run game, they were doing it, but it was kind of like, we're going to get any yards, but the 1 or 2 yards became 3 or 4 yards. Obviously, the more you're able to do it, the bigger those holes get. Young-Ho Koo, Giants field goal kicker, made both of his field goal attempts, including a 44-yarder that might be a pedestrian distance in today's NFL, but was his longest in 3 games with the Giants. He also made a touchdown-saving tackle on a 44-yard return by Detroit's Khalif Raymond in the second quarter. Darius Alexander, 3rd-round pick, most productive day as an NFL player with a pair of sacks. Tyrone Tracy, the second-year running back, had his best overall game of the season, 130 total yards of offense. Tracy ran the ball 20 times for just 62 yards, but he fought for all those yards and protected the football while doing it, which is very important. He also caught 3 passes for 77 yards, including a 39-yard catch and run on a blown coverage by the Lions. Once again, the Giants' opening drive offense. Giants scored an opening drive touchdown for the 6th time this season. This one on the Winston to Robinson flea flicker. They could only finish as well as they can obviously start. Yep. Good old Theo Johnson, 2nd-year tight end who has suffered from drops and inconsistency throughout the early part of his career, has increasingly become a force. He had just 3 catches on Sunday, but they went for 77 yards, and all came in the second half as the Giants' offense tried to hang on to its narrow lead. One of those 2 incompletions to Johnson also resulted in a defensive pass interference penalty that gave the Giants a 1st down. Isaiah Hodgins, 2 games, 2 touchdowns with the Giants. The veteran receiver continued making an impact in his second game since returning to the Giants. He had a gorgeous leaping 12-yard touchdown catch in the second quarter and a 30-yard catch on a 3rd and 10 from the Giants' 8-yard line while they were trying to hold on to a 3-point lead with roughly 8 minutes to play. Of course, then you got, the bad things. Eric Gray, right? Jamie Gillen, fourth quarter overtime defenses. Just, the Russian defense. Oh, my goodness. For the third time this season, the Giants defense allowed an opponent to rush for more than 200 yards. They've only held an opponent under 100 yards rushing twice all season. Jahmyr Gibbs by himself had 219 rushing yards, including a 49-yarder for a touchdown in the fourth quarter and a 69-yarder for the game-winning score. So basically he had, 70? Basically on 2 running plays, he had 120 yards rushing. And two. It's a consistent problem for the Giants. Gibbs was untouched on a 69-yard run up the middle in overtime. On his early 49-yard TD run, Gibbs got through the Giants' defensive line without being touched. Then Dane Belton took a poor angle as Gibbs burst through the line. It was easily shed by Gibbs. Then Cordell Flott couldn't play off his block and lay a hand on Gibbs. And then the bigger Javon Holland couldn't play off his block and was barely able to touch Gibbs on his way to the end zone. Jameson Winston, sign him to a long-term contract. If the Giants can't win, at least are we not? We're certainly entertained, that is for sure. There are a few quarterbacks more fun to watch than Jameson Winston. All indications are that he is a great teammate. More importantly, though, the man can play. Yes, he throws interceptions, and he threw one today, but the guy can move on offense. He makes all that he can do. He can make all the throws. He can read defenses. Yep. He can competes like crazy. He's a leader, and he will do anything to win. Sign the guy. Give the dude another couple years, man. Keep him happy. Keep him here in New York. Keep him happy. The dude seems nothing but simply an amazing person, human being, teammate. Sign the guy. Keep him here. Keep him and Dart here for a few more years together. That'd be fantastic. And maybe draft a quarterback in the draft and try to develop them, right? But, I think between Dart and Winston, really, really good. Winston threw for 366 yards against this Lions defenses. That was the third best in the NFL in passing yards allowed coming into the game. Third best in the game. Our number one running back is not there. And our number one wide receiver, one of the best, maybe top 5, 6, whatever, wide receivers in the entire league, was not on the field for the Giants. And we threw for 3. And Winston threw for 366 yards against the Lions defense that was third best in the NFL in passing yards allowed. And between what Winston threw for on Gunnar Olszewski's completion, we had almost 400 yards of passing against the third best. And we don't have a number one wide receiver. Theo Johnson and Darius Alexander are becoming threats. There's been some frustrations about Theo Johnson's drop passes since becoming a Giant. But Johnson's 4 drops were tied for 5th among tight ends, which doesn't sound great for your tight end number 1. It's worth noting, though, that among the 4 who had more drops were Zach Ertz, Travis Kelce, and rookie sensation Tyler Warren. So maybe we're being a little bit hard. Well, those guys also get more passes thrown their way, too. In support of that sentiment, Johnson has 5 touchdown receptions. We're also tied for 5th most in the NFL with George Kittle and Mark Andrews. Johnson has caught 13 balls and 17 targets for 188 yards in the last 3 games. He may finally be starting to mature into the player the Giants thought he could be. Another player who got it noticed for the right reasons on Sunday was rookie Darius Alexander. His run defense hasn't been up to par, but his pass rush is starting to come around. Alexander had 2 sacks Sunday to give him 2.5 on the season. Coming into the game, only 2 other rookies, inside defensive linemen, has 3 sacks. Alexander came out of the MAC conference and thus didn't play against the toughest competition. It's probably a significant adjustment from going up against NFL offensive linemen. It's possible, though, that the Giants have something. Possible. We have to certainly have to wait and see. But Darius Alexander, he's certainly going to have to upgrade his run defense. His run defense is not very good. His run defense is a 28.3, according to PFF. So he has some issues. Okay, his pass rush is a 60, according to PFF. Yeah, but his overall defense is a 40.4. So Darius Alexander has some room to grow. That's for darn sure. They said on the season, according to PFF, Darius Alexander is graded out at a 40. And I said his run defense is a 28.3. Not very good. He's got some learning to do. That's one of the things is that if Sexy Dexy's not on the field, you got Darius Alexander in there, who's, I said once again, according to PFF, is grading out at a 28 on run defense. That's one of the things is that obviously is when you get these guys, like in the second, maybe not taking the right angles or not getting a hand on the guys and stuff. The running backs that run through scot-free. Well, a lot of that has to do with also the front seven. It's kind of tough to take a good angle on a guy who gets the ball, who doesn't get touched, and was gone. Basically, within 2 seconds, he's 15, 20 yards down the field. It's kind of tough to, usually what you want is the guy get the ball, and then, if you're in a defensive secondary, you're doing whatever you're doing, and then, it's a run. Okay, let me start coming up and maybe, coming up to maybe make a tackle or get in a good angle or a good spot to maybe make it or whatever. But when a guy just gets the ball and he's not touched and he just takes off through the line of scrimmage without being touched, without being slowed down at all, it's kind of tough to get a good angle on him. All of a sudden you turn around, the ball snapped before you know it, the guy's 15, 20 yards past the line of scrimmage. It's like, what? Don't we have anybody on deep? So, you can kind of blame the secondary a little bit, to a certain degree. Guys aren't taken right out, but you need the guy to get slowed up a little bit, have him, get up to the line and maybe take a step or something, and, break a couple arm tackles or something, and then let him get going. But I mean, when he gets the ball and it's like there's like Moses parting the Red Sea and he just takes off and nobody touches him, it's kind of tough to get good angles of pursuit on the guy. All right, so this one, I totally disagree with what Kafka did. I totally disagree. I don't even care if they scored a touchdown. I don't care if they scored a touchdown. They got the 2 point. I still, it's 4th down and 6. Right? You you can't really. You're not going to be able to run the ball, and you got to pass. And against the third best passing defense with the Lions. And Winston was only completing like 50% of his passes. Now there's a let's see, I gotta move my legs. My dog's underneath me. Where are we at here? I gotta show this here somewhere. Okay, let me show you here. Up. Let me share my screen here. Okay. Now, it shows you here, all right, the Giants kicked the field goal percent. Kicked the field goal, the winning percentage. Up by 3, 4th down and 6 yards from the opponent's end zone. If they kick the field goal, they have a winning percentage of 73%. They go up by 6 points. percent of the succeeding is 99%. I mean, you're kicking a 23-yard field goal, maybe a 24-yard field goal if they bring it back 8 yards. So 23, 20, that's a chip shot. It's, 99% of the time, Young Hoku is going to make that kick. Right? So winning percent if they failed, winning percent if they succeed. So if they failed, I guess, on the field goal attempt, they'd still have a 52% chance of winning. And 74% they succeed. Now the same here, go for it. Winning percent, I guess 67%. I don't know. Success percentage, 27%. I guess percent of it. So, here the timeout. The offense is 3, defense is 1. Quarter 4, 2 minutes and 59 seconds to go. But hold on again with my legs. Oh, Randy. God. So, yeah. I really totally disagree with what he did. I said, I don't care if they scored a touchdown, he got a 2-point conversion when we went up 85 points. You're at the 6-yard line, get some points. Go up by 6. Now, of course, do I have a ton of confidence that our defense can hold the Lions from scoring? No, of course not. But it didn't matter. I mean, they gave up the game, the first play of overtime, right? But what wound up happening was, the defense forced them to kick almost a 60-yard field goal to tie the game. They were trying to win it. It wasn't like, let's just get in the field goal range and we'll tie it up and we'll send it up. No, they're going down the field. They're trying to win the game. Let's win it now. Well, let's march down the field, score a touchdown. We'll win the game. Get out of here. I'm sure they don't. Well, let's tie it up and let's go into overtime and try our luck there. No, they're trying to win the game in overtime. They're marching down the field. The Giants defense stopped them. They kicked the field goal. Now, to be fair, right, if the Giants were up by 3 and it was 4th down and if the Giants were up by 6 and they kicked the field goal, the Giants were up by 6 and it's 4th down, the Lions probably wouldn't have kicked the field goal there. They probably would have gone for it, especially with Campbell. He goes for stuff. So, hey, that certainly does not mean the Giants would have stopped them on 4th down. But I have a hard time, with that. Even Malik Neighbors, after the game, was kind of questioning the play call. Like, wide receiver Malik Neighbors perplexed with the way it went down. Neighbors, who was not with the Giants as he rehabs a torn ACL he suffered earlier this season, second-guessed some of the team's decisions in a since-deleted tweet. Sometimes I think they'd be making us lose on purpose, he wrote, because it's no way, bro, you throw the ball instead of running it to make them burn 2 timeouts. Then you don't kick the field goal. Then you have to go down and score. Football common sense. Am I missing something? Yeah. Now, let's see here. Where are we at here? Okay, let me go play by play. Now, where are we at here? Okay. So the Giants got down there. They got a 2-yard run. They got down to the 2-yard line. Then instead, what they could have done, right, is, they got a 2-yard run. Detroit, it looks like, I guess Detroit probably called the time. They called the timeout, number 1. Then on 2nd down, they threw a pass, which incomplete, which stopped the clock. So what Malik was talking about, why not run the ball? Make them maybe 2-yard. Maybe you get in the end zone. You're at the 2-yard line. Just try to run the ball. Make them use their timeouts. So The Lions had to use 2 timeouts instead of using 3 timeouts because we wound up losing 4 yards. Singletary tried to go around the left end. He lost 4 yards on the play. But Detroit used their second timeout. But if the Giants tried to run the ball 3 times, they can use all 3 of their timeouts and kick the field goal and go up by 6 points. That's what Malik was kind of questioning. Neighbors was talking about a series of play calls and decisions late in regulation with the Giants up 27-24. Kafka called a running play for Tyrone Tracy that got the Giants down to the Lions' 2-yard line with 3:11 remaining. Quarterback Jameson Winston then threw an incomplete pass on second down to Theo Johnson, and the Giants lost 4 yards on a third down run. Kafka has preached aggressiveness since taking over and called 2 trick plays that resulted in touchdowns in Sunday's win, elected to go for the touchdown and a 2-score lead with a tick under 3 minutes remaining. The Lions forced an incomplete pass and took over from their own 6-yard line, needing only a field goal to send the game into overtime instead of having to score a touchdown. And, of course, Jake Bates eventually kicked the 59-yarder to even the score after the 4th down fail. So, and, of course, even Donald Trump, and, I agree with him. I don't like Donald Trump. I got to agree with him. Trump blasts New York Giants for crazy decision during their loss to the Detroit Lions. Giants made a baffling decision when they tried to put the game away with a touchdown instead of taking the easy points. Take the points. Coaches, they can sometimes outthink themselves. Take the points. President Donald Trump was among those confused. The Giants, who recently fired head coach Brian Daboll, rolled in onto a 27-24 lead late in the 4th quarter over the Lions. Giants drove deep into the red zone as the clock ticked under 3 minutes as the Giants stared at 4th and goal from the 6-yard line. Rather than kick a field goal to go up 6 points and force the Lions to score a touchdown, the Giants tried to get a touchdown on their own to go up by 10 points. Things did not go as planned. Quarterback Jameson Winston threw an incomplete pass. The Lions managed to kick a field goal, and the Lions won, of course, the game in overtime. Reeling from the result, Trump took to the Truth Social and openly questioned interim head coach Mike Kafka's decision-making. Why did the New York Football Giants not kick the field goal? Trump wondered. Who would have done such a thing? It was crazy. I got to watch the end of the game and thought, when they went for the touchdown instead of the 3, that's weird. Yep, I can't argue with him. I don't agree with Mr. Trump on anything else, but you're 6 yards away. I get the being aggressive. I get it. I get it. But I would rather go up by 6 points and make him have to score a touchdown, than just have it kick a field goal to tie it and send it in overtime. That was just made. That to me, that made no sense at all. And maybe 4th and goal to 1, okay, all right, maybe, or to 2 or something like that. But it's 4th and goal at the 6-yard line. Take the points. Go up 30-24. I said, do I have any faith in the defense? Absolutely not. Of course not. Right. But I'd rather have the Lions have to score a touchdown. Because, kick a field goal. They got to the 40-yard line? Just drive to the 40-yard line. I'm not saying kicking a 50-something yard. I'm not saying it's easy. But when it goes against the Giants, seems like everybody's kicking 60-yarders or whatever just to send the game into overtime or win the game against the Giants. Seems like it's nothing. I'm saying, but all you got to do is get down to the 40-yard line, and basically you're in field goal range. You can kick a field goal to tie it up, send it overtime. Let's have him go from, instead of reaching the 40, let's have him go all the way, score a touchdown. And I said it would have been nice too. I said the other thing was that and burn all 3 of their timeouts. Right? So that way, if you're ever able to tackle one of them and keep them in balance, the clock is running, is what it is. But then again, that's just the way the season's been going. Absolutely nothing's been going right for the New York Giants. Once again. And finally, the Giants dump one international player and pick up another one on their practice squad. So they finally got rid of Hey Jude, right? The guy who cost us a game. I guess the moment was just too big for him. Right, so hopefully he's gone. Hopefully we'll never see him ever again. I wish him well, but you can do whatever you're doing with another team. Stay away from the New York Giants. That's all I got to say for you, buddy. Right? But the Giants did pick up another tight end, Maximilian Mang, I believe his name is. 6'7". He's like 265 pounds. Right. Tight end. The Colts released him, so the Giants want to pick him up. But thing is, don't expect. I mean, he's on their practice squad. He's got. Don't expect no Mark Bavaro or nothing like that from him. I mean, this guy might, it might certainly be a work in progress. Right. Let's share the screen here. Let's show you. This is he was in college. Right. This is offensive grade, yeah. Right. But what you'll notice here, okay, this is last season. This is 2024. He was with Syracuse, the Orangemen, right? 2024 here. Maximilian Mang. All right. But you'll notice here, okay, now his offensive grade is not horrible, okay, 64.9. But is like his receiving grade is not very good. He graded out of 40 overall for the season. But what you'll notice here is pass blocking was a 78.3. His run blocking, 71.6. Now, he had 5 seasons at Syracuse. Right. These are his offensive grades here. His first year was a 75.6, but he only played, 16 total snaps. So, but when he did play some snaps, 275, 430, 288, 259, these were his offensive grades. Now, you'll notice here each year he got a little bit better. It was 39, okay, not very good. But he went to a 47, a 56, and then a 64. So, but his pass receiving, I guess is would be, is not super spectacular. But you'll notice his pass blocking, especially his final season there, was 78.3. But you'll notice his pass blocking, and once again, this first season here, he minimal amount of snaps. I'm not even going to include this, but his first full season, right? He was a 41. His pass blocking was a 40, but then it went to a 67, then a 78. Same thing here. His first full season, his run blocking was a 45. Then he went to a 59. Then he went to a 54. And then his final season was a 71.6. Right. And once again, he's 6'7", 267 pounds. Not too shabby. Let me show you here. Oh, where are we at? I'd share the screen. But, once again, let me show you. I mean, he did not do much of anything. There we go. As far as receiving in college, these are his receiving. Okay, like in 20. Once again, he was a freshman, right? But he hardly played at all. Hardly played any snaps on offense. Okay, is for 1 reception, 5 receptions too. So basically, in 5 years of college, he had 9 receptions for 60 yards. He did have 1 touchdown. Right, but so he's not much at all as far as a receiving threat. as you can say, right? But what he does come in at is, he could be maybe another Chris Manhurts or something like that, right? Pass blocking, right? You got him on it. Maybe he can develop him. I don't know if he's ever going to wind up being any type of a threat whatsoever in the pass receiving department. But if you got him on the line of scrimmage, run blocking, because he's like 265, 6'7", he's a big guy. He can pass block, he can run block, and he does give you some snaps on special teams, right? That he does do. So we'll have to wait and see, But as far as he's on the practice squad, so whether he ever gets elevated, who knows? Whether he makes it, whether after the season's over with, he's still on the Giants practice squad, who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But the Giants did cut ties with good old Hey Jude. All right. So the Giants released place kicker who missed 3 extra points in 2 weeks. The Jude McAtamney era with the Giants is finally over. Thank God. Giants have terminated contract to place kicker Jude McAtamney from their practice squad. McAtamney, a second-year kicker from Rutgers, missed 3 extra points in 2 weeks while subbing for an injured Graham Gano earlier this season. When Gano returned from his first injury, a groin issue, McAtamney was released and re-signed to the practice squad. When Gano was forced to go into injury reserve due to his herniated disc in his neck, the Giants promoted veteran kicker Young-Ho Koo from the practice squad, bypassing McAtamney. Thank God. Giants also recently added rookie place kicker Ben Sauls to their practice squad, making McAtamney eligible to be kicked off the squad. Giants replaced McAtamney on the practice squad with tight end Maximilian Mang, another player with an international exemption, allowing the team to keep a 17th player on the 16-man practice squad. Mang, from Potsdam, Germany, played college football at Syracuse. He is 6'6". I saw 6'7" as well, too. 265 pounds. He caught only 9 passes in 63 games at Syracuse. Mang was signed as an undrafted free agent by the Colts after the 2025 NFL Draft. He was released from the Colts practice squad last week. So he was released, and the Giants might have picked him up. All right, let's see what we got here. McAtamney joined the Giants in 2024 and appeared in 5 games over 2 seasons, including 4 games this season. He made all 3 of his field goals, but missed 3 extra points, all of which came this season. McAtamney was promoted to the 53-man roster this season to serve as a fill-in for veteran kicker Graham Gano while he was injured. But the Irish kicker missed 2 extra points in Week 7 and was cut before being re-signed to the practice squad. Mang initially entered the NFL in May when he signed with the Colts as an undrafted free agent. He has never appeared in a regular season game and was cut loose by the Colts last week. The 6'7", 265-pound tight end played his college football at Syracuse. Over 5 years, he recorded 9 receptions for 60 yards and just 1 touchdown. So, so one of those things you have to wait, keep an eye on. I certainly don't think, by any stretch of the imagination, is he going to, be elevated this year. Absolutely not. But develop him. Who knows? But I mean, at 6'7", he's a nice size. At 265 pounds, he does well blocking. He can add some on special teams, but as far as any type of pass receiving or anything, 9 receptions in 5 years in college is not. So don't expect too much from him. But then again, don't expect too much from McAtamney because he's gone. He's gone now. Thank goodness. All right, so it is what it is. All right, guys, it's been 1 hour and 20 minutes. Whoever spent any time listening to me live, thank you. Or if anybody's going to spend any time watching the replay of this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. That means the world to me. It really does. So once again, thank you. And as always, go Giants! Woo! Oh, yeah.
Bye.